Welcome to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce. Each month, we'll feature business and community leaders sharing their stories, initiatives, concerns, and passions. Learn practical information regarding community resources and opportunities. Now, the host of Business Voice, Greece Regional Chamber President and CEO, Sarah Lentini.
Hi, everybody. You're listening to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce, sponsored by Bartolomeo and Perotto Funeral Home. I'm your host, Sarah Lentini. I'm also the president and CEO of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce. And we've got a great show for you today, starting with my first guest, a woman I've had on several times. She's terrific. She's from Genesee Regional Bank. I'm delighted to welcome Laura Smith. Hi, Laura.
Hi, Sarah.
Great to have you back on the show. I know this has been very unusual last 18 months or so, and we haven't talked to you in a while. And I know that there's lots going on at the bank, but also specifically in the areas of mortgages and home equities. And also, the real estate market has been very unusual, in good ways, I think, primarily. But we'd love to talk to you about all those things. So start by telling us your role at the bank, would you?
Sure. Well, thank you for having me, Sarah. It's a pleasure to be on, and it's a pleasure to talk about the Rochester real estate market and Genesee Regional Bank. I'm a mortgage loan officer at Genesee Regional Bank, and I do a couple of different things. I do purchase mortgages, I do refinance mortgages, I do home equity, lines of credit. I talk with people about their personal banking needs and how to think about their banking relationship to really make sure that they're choosing the right bank for them specifically. And we run through a lot of different financing scenarios for customers who may want to pull some cash out of their equity, whether it's through a refinance or a home equity, and really try and figure out what's the best way for them to do it to meet their home ownership and their financing goals.
That's great. So let's start with the market as a sort of a backdrop to all of this. We've had a really unusual, real estate market, right? What's going on with that?
Yeah, well, you really did a great description. Really unusual is definitely a good way to describe the Rochester real estate market in 2020 and 2021. Rochester's always struggled the last couple of years with inventory, so there's too many buyers, there's not enough sellers, and so we knew that we had a little bit of an inventory problem, but then 2020 and 2021 really just exploded, and we had so many buyers and not enough sellers, and that's just good old-fashioned economics. It's good old-fashioned supply and demand.
Right.
And we started to see, a lot of houses coming up for sale and multiple offers going in. So in 2021, it was not unusual for a house to get listed in the Rochester area. If it's priced correctly and if it's in good shape, there would be multiple offers, sometimes going $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 over list price.
Wow.
Sometimes these offers were cash offers. People were really motivated to purchase homes with the interest rate environment because mortgage rates were very low, and that really allowed people to look at their situation of renting or owning and saying, gosh, with rates so low, now is really a perfect time to buy a house. And so the market just got flooded with buyers, and we saw houses move very quickly, and we saw a lot of really unusual things happen in the Rochester market. After 25 years of being a loan officer, I would have never guessed that houses would sell for $20,000 or $30,000 or $40,000 over list price. I would have never been able to predict that, but that's in fact what we saw last year in Rochester.
And you mentioned that interest rates were really attractive. What were interest rates, and then and where are they now, for that matter?
Yeah, so interest rates vary all of the time based on what type of mortgage you're getting and what your credit score is, and how much you're borrowing. So there's a lot of different things that go into calculating an interest rate. Your plain vanilla 30-year fixed rates last year, were anywhere probably between 3.25% to 3.5%, depending on the program. Sometimes a little higher, sometimes a little bit lower. And we've seen interest rates slightly increase this year in 2022. All of the data that we can see, suggests that rates might be on the move up in 2022. So we really feel that we might have a Rochester market that might look like 2021 with the real estate market. We might have buyers that want to purchase a home and lock into these attractive interest rates before rates go up any further.
I was just going to say that's probably pushing people even more to get in on the good rates while they're still so attractive. Is there another reason though? What do you think there are other factors that contributed to this? This really unusual market we're in.
Yeah, I think with COVID, a lot of people really just didn't want to sell. They didn't want to move. They didn't want to have open houses where people would, open their house for sale and have 20 or 30 or 40 people walk through an open house.
Makes sense.
I think people's comfort level with COVID and listing their homes for sale just became a little bit different in 2020 and 2021.
Yeah.
So the $1 million question is, what will 2022 look like? No one's really sure. It's hard to predict what we're going to see, but we're hopeful that we'll have more houses for buyers to choose from.
One of the other things that some of the businesses in the region had made me aware of as well was that the prices for certain items such as lumber have just skyrocketed, and of course transportation's a whole other issue. So it seems as though there might be some other issues having to do with new construction that have figured into the housing market. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's 100% true. We're talking with a lot of buyers who are building homes because they're not finding what they want in the Rochester real estate market, and they're working with builders, and houses are taking longer to get completed. Where last year customers were anticipating houses being finished by a certain time, we're seeing that the builders are experiencing material delays. The builders are experiencing labor delays. There's lots of different delays that are all COVID related. And we're seeing that a lot of things are just taking longer in the new construction field.
Right, and then those the impact on new construction has obviously got a trickle effect to existing homes, which perhaps have become more attractive at higher prices than they would have in a more normal market. So very, very interesting. So tell us about, I know one of the things that you have historically talked about when you've come on the show is that there are a range of products and services and programs that can help people with mortgages, certainly with first-time mortgages, perhaps with more than that. Tell us what resources are out there if I'm looking to buy a home.
Sure. Well, the first thing to do before purchasing a home is always talk to your lender and get pre-qualified. That's the most important step. Genesee Regional Bank has a wonderful mortgage division. Our website, www.grbbank.com, has a list of all of our home mortgage loan information along with all of our loan officers that work in the Rochester community. And we love having conversations with customers about getting ready to purchase a home. So January and February historically are those months where customers call in and they say, we'd like to think about purchasing a home. What do we need to do to get ready? And so we'll have conversations with them about pulling their credit report and making sure that their credit score is where they want it to be, how much money they should be saving and focusing on, for down payment and closing costs, what to prepare for in terms of documentation, and then most importantly, what type of first-time homebuyer programs are available to first-time buyers. A first-time buyer is identified as someone that has not owned a home in the last 3 years. So, we like to talk to customers about mortgages that are going to fit their needs. Everyone's homeownership goals are different. So some customers are very focused on purchasing in a particular area. Other customers are very focused on keeping their payment within a certain range. There's lots of different reasons why people purchase homes and what is important to them. And the nice thing about Genesee Regional Bank is we can talk with them about what is important to them and then help them with their mortgage financing and make some recommendations on really what would be the best fit for them as they continue the homeownership journey.
Mm-hmm. And are there programs for folks that are not first-time home buyers, or is that where the majority?
Yeah, so whether you're a first-time home buyer or you're buying your fourth house or you're buying a vacation home or you're buying a rental property, we have mortgages at Genesee Regional Bank that are available for everyone. And customers sometimes just need a little bit of guidance to understand what the bank is looking for. Every type of occupancy is going to have different requirements. So if you're buying a house to be a primary residence, there's certain guidelines for primary residences. If you're buying a house as a vacation home, we have different guidelines for vacation homes. And then if you're buying a house as rental property or investment property, there's different guidelines that apply to investment property as well. Mm-hmm. So we like to be able to talk with customers thoroughly and really get a good understanding of what they're looking for so that we can make the appropriate recommendation on the mortgage.
And are you seeing any other kinds of trends within the housing market right now? Obviously there's a lot of activity, folks that are, as you mentioned, putting in bids that are, huge amounts above asking in order to get the house that they want that's being sold. So are the majority of the folks involved in these transactions all already here in the region, or are there people from outside the region that are, trying to buy into this region? Is there moving, are people moving? It seems inconceivable, but could people be moving up from New York City? I know in the counties immediately surrounding the New York City area that would certainly be true. This seems like we're a little far afield for that, but are we kind of all, mostly seeing activity that's made up of existing residents, or is there movement in and out of our community because of this?
Yeah, we see a little bit of both. We talk to a lot of people who have grown up in Rochester and want to purchase a home in Rochester. We see a lot of people who are relocating into Rochester for employment. We see a lot of people who are exiting very expensive metropolitan areas like New York City, Long Island, different regions where they're maybe working remotely and they're looking at Rochester real estate compared to where they are. And they can purchase a home and work remotely and their job really stays the same, but they can live a little bit different of a lifestyle because the real estate market is historically a little bit more affordable in Rochester. So there's lots of different reasons that people purchase in Rochester, and it's interesting. Everyone has a different story. Every customer has a different reason, and it's just fascinating to talk with them and help them with that home ownership goal, whatever the reason is, to be able to become a homeowner in Rochester.
And not everybody's moving, right? So one part of your, a big chunk of your activity has to do with mortgages and getting people into new or, first time rather, or second or third or fourth homes in their lives. But you also have, I'm sure, a chunk of folks that you're dealing with who are maybe looking for home equity products. I mean, talk to us a little about that. I think people don't always think about their home as, as a source of cash.
Yeah. So we talk to lots of different customers about pulling equity out of their home. So you may own a home and you may have a small mortgage, or you may own a home free and clear with no mortgage. And customers will sometimes call in and talk with us about financing and what's the best way to pull that equity out, to use it for something else. So I've got 2 kids knocking on the door of college, so sometimes customers call and say, well, gee, I'd like to pull the equity out to pay for college. Or maybe they want to pull equity out of their house to pay cash for another house. or maybe they want to consolidate debt. There's lots of different reasons why people may want to pull cash out of their equity. And, interest rates are still historically low. They're a little higher than they were last year, but historically speaking, they're still very low. So pulling that cash out can be done in two different ways. Option number one would be a home equity line of credit. So Genesee Regional Bank has wonderful, wonderful home equity line of credit programs where you can pull that equity out very quickly and very easily. And then there's also another alternative called a refinance, where you pull cash out through a refinance, which is a mortgage. Two different products, two different sets of interest rates, two different sets of fees, and two different ways that they are used. But they're both two very good vehicles of how to pull cash out. And sometimes we'll talk with customers about both options to see what's the better fit. Mm-hmm. If you're really looking to pull some cash out and pay it back fairly quickly, then maybe a home equity line of credit is a good solution for you. Mm-hmm. If you're looking to pull money out and you think you may hang on to that debt a little bit longer, then maybe a refinance would be a better solution for mm-hmm. you. Mm-hmm. It really depends on the customer's goals and financing needs, and then we'll make some recommendations based on which product really is the better fit for them.
And just in case this sounds like Greek to some of our listeners, it probably would to me if I hadn't spent some time in the housing arena as well. But, if you have equity in your home, it means that if your home, maybe you want to describe this, Laura, but say your home is valued. Is it based on, in fact, that's a good question. Do you start by looking at how do you determine the resale value of the home? What determines equity? What is the formula for that?
Yeah. So equity is the part of your house that you own. So we will sometimes just ask the customer, do you have an idea of what you think your house might be worth? Sometimes there's websites that we can go to that will give us just a best guess. But the conversation usually starts with the customer. Customers usually have a fairly relatively good idea of maybe what other homes are worth in their neighborhood or what they're selling for or what their house may be worth. Okay. So at some point, we would do an appraisal, and that appraisal would determine the appraiser's opinion of value. Mm-hmm. So I think I have a fairly good idea of what I think my house is worth. But the appraiser might come in at a slightly different number. That's okay. Mm-hmm. My opinion might be different than the appraiser's opinion. But an idea of what the home might be worth based on the current market conditions is the first step. And then the second step would be to ask if they have a mortgage or if they owe anything on the property. If they do, then the difference between the house value and what they owe is their equity, mm-hmm. and they can usually borrow a percentage of that equity through a home equity line of credit or a refinance.
And that's leading me to another question I had. So you don't typically have somebody borrow borrow the entire amount of the equity that they have in a home, right?
Yeah. So different home equity products have certain limits in mm-hmm. terms of how much you can borrow. Some products will allow you to borrow up to 80% of the value. Some products will allow you to borrow up to 85% of the value. Some products will let you borrow up to 89% of the value, mm-hmm. less what you owe. Mm-hmm. So remember, if you have a mortgage or you have a home equity now, we have to take that into consideration.
Yeah,
but there's a couple of different products that you can choose from, and I always explain it like this. When I talk with a customer and they're in a field that I know nothing about, mm-hmm. I will say to them, look, I don't know anything about the day-to-day of what your job requires, but I'd like to be able to share with you how mortgages work and how mm-hmm. home equities work. And, mm-hmm. It usually ends up being a nice conversation. And I like to try and break it down as simple and easy to understand as possible.
Mm-hmm. And Another question that I have is, can you use, if you take a home equity loan out, can you use the funds for any purpose at all, or does that depend as well on the product?
Yeah. So a home equity line of credit can be used for lots of different things. Customers all have different reasons of why they might use a home equity line of credit. Maybe they're going to buy a business, or maybe they're going to buy another property, or maybe they're going to consolidate some high interest rate credit card debt, or maybe they're going to use it to pay for college. There's a million different reasons of why people might want to use their equity. Mm-hmm. And talking with them and making sure that the home equity line of credit is the right solution is really important piece of the conversation.
Well, you're setting up all the segues, because the other question in my mind is, what makes a home equity line of credit more attractive than some other vehicles for borrowing money? Are interest rates better typically on home equity lines of credit?
It depends. A lot of interest rates are calculated based on, number one, what type of product you're using. So whether it's a home equity line of credit or a mortgage. Another thing that influences your interest rate can be your credit score, how much you're borrowing, if you're just borrowing a small amount versus if you're borrowing a larger amount, what your debt-to-income ratio may be. So there's so many different things that can influence your interest rate. The best way to really identify what interest rate you're eligible for is to have a conversation with someone at Genesee Regional Bank, and they can talk with you a little bit more about the interest rate that fits the lending that you need.
Yeah, so now you've really led us back to this whole notion of the role that you play in the relationship that's so important to cultivate with your banker, whoever your banker may be. But I know that it's something that folks could reach out to you for assistance with, which is great. So you would help them figure out which would be the best vehicles for whatever purpose they have in mind. It sounds like, which is terrific, because, talking about things that you are an expert in and things you're not an expert in is certainly not my area of expertise. So great to know that there are folks like you we can turn to. Laura, how do people reach you if they want to reach out to you and talk a little bit more about options?
Sure. Yeah, and we love talking with customers about solutions for their financing. We really get excited about getting to know our customers and building that relationship. And customers can contact Genesee Regional Bank a couple of different ways, by phone or by going to our website or by visiting our branch. So we have 3 branches in Rochester. We've got our corporate headquarters at 1850 Winton Road South in Brighton. We have our Pittsford Plaza branch, which is at 3380 Monroe Avenue, across the street from the Cheesecake Factory. Nice. And then we have our Greece branch at 4180 West Ridge Road in the Kohl's Plaza. Branches are open Monday through Friday, and they can call us. So Genesee Regional Bank, they can call us directly at 585-249-1540, or they can go to our website and get lots of additional information on home equities and mortgages and how we can help them with their financing. And our website address is grbbank.com. grbbank.com. Double B, grbbank.com. That's right.
Laura Smith, Genesee Regional Bank, it's been a pleasure having you on Business Voice. And before I let you go, I just want to say a quick thank you once again to you and to everybody at Genesee Regional Bank for all the ways in which you support the Greece Regional Chamber and specifically the business community in the greater Rochester and greater Greece area. We really appreciate it. We look forward to a continued partnership with you guys. Laura Smith from Genesee Regional Bank, thanks so much for being with us here today on Business Voice.
Thank you, Sarah.
All right, don't go away. We're going to be right back with my next guest. Don't flip that dial.
Every life has a story. Bartolomeo and Perotto Funeral Home takes pride in helping families navigate the path to telling their loved one's unique story. It's difficult to avoid sadness at a time of loss, but sharing stories, pictures, and personal items can lead to a path of healing as you remember how special they were. Bartolomeo and Perotto certified celebrants help to create a meaningful celebration. If you are in need or want to learn more, contact Bartolomeo and Perotto Funeral Home at 720-6000.
Since 1983, Herko Computers is Rochester's first and most experienced custom computer system builder. Herko Computers is proud to be working with many of our original customers, including the Greece Chamber of Commerce. Whether you need a custom business PC, gaming system, or network server, Herko Computers can build you a custom computer system that exceeds your expectations. Herko Computers also offers complete IT support for your business. We can configure your business network, provide security from viruses and ransomware to keep your business or medical office running the way it should be. Herko Computers is also a full-service provider of network wiring, Wi-Fi, and network camera systems. Need to upgrade from Windows 7? Give Herko Computers a call at 227-1270 to discuss your options to get your business upgraded to Windows 10. Herko Computers is proudly locally owned and operated since 1983. Call us at 227-1270 and schedule your Herko Computers free IT evaluation. Herko Computers, 227-1270.
Gift yourself a blah-free 2022. Boost your mood and your health in a blink and start the year off right. Blink Fitness is your fun, friendly neighborhood gym with tons of state-of-the-art equipment and a mood-above-muscle attitude. Join for $1 and get all the perks. What do you have to lose? Blink Fitness Greece is located at 2833 West Ridge Road in the Wegmans Ridgemont Plaza. Join today and experience feel-good fitness in a blink.
WYSL.
Welcome back. You're listening to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce, sponsored by Bartolomeo and Perotto Funeral Home. I'm Sarah Lentini, your host. I'm also the president and CEO of the Greece Regional Chamber. Delighted to welcome my next guest, Gregg Sadwick, who is the president-elect of the Greece Rotary. Welcome, Gregg.
Thank you, Sarah. Glad to be here.
Pleasure to have you on the show. And I think it's the first time. I don't think we've ever had you on before. So tell us about Greece Rotary. Big Rotary, active Rotary, around for a long time, right?
Yeah, Greece Rotary is a pretty unique group. We're about 60 individuals in the town of Greece, and we're doing some amazing things. You know, Greece Rotary sponsors a lot of local things, but a lot of international things. If I can kind of break it down by those two buckets.
Sure.
Internationally, we just finished 2 international projects. One was called Crutches for Africa.
Wow.
We collected almost 1,000 mobility devices. And we went to Uganda and Kenya.
Wow.
You know, we think that, you know, that's pretty easy stuff. But over there, they don't have access to it. So to help give those people some of the benefits we have over here that we take for granted was a pretty big undertaking. It involved a lot of local clubs such as Spencerport, Brockport, Avon, but also involved Greece Lions, Greece Kiwanis. So it's a pretty unique undertaking that we shipped these about a month ago to, as I said, Uganda and Kenya.
Wow. So was this the first time that the Greece Rotary did this particular project? I don't remember hearing about it before.
It was. It was something that one of our members had an idea, saw something. We didn't come up with the idea. Someone heard about it and applied it to ask the clubs if we wanted to take it on, and we did it.
Wow. And then when you shipped, where did you ship to? I mean, was there an organization, a humanitarian organization, or a chapter of one of your organizations that was there to receive it on the other side?
Yeah, exactly. So it's a bigger organization that we tapped into. You know, there's a lot of the mechanism Rotary facilitates is through other organizations, and we tapped into that. So, for instance, the Guardians of Hope is a group. We actually have two of their members as Rotarians in our club. They're building a security wall for New Hope Children's Village community in Zambia. Now, this village is somewhat like the old Villa Hope on Dewey Avenue. They're servicing 40 to 60 children and giving them a safe living environment. And we did a grant. Our 2 guys went over there and actually helped build a security wall for these kids.
Wow.
And
That's
it's
amazing.
unique because it helps those kids, but it also it taught 20 Zambians a trade, how to mix concrete, how to build a wall. So the impact went beyond just the security of those children.
Wow, that's a wonderful project. That's absolutely amazing.
WYSL Avon Rochester.
And that's just one example, right? I mean, Rotary has several, and you mentioned, I think it sounds like we're starting on the international side. What are some of the other international projects?
So some of the ones we've done is we've dug some wells in Africa, built some libraries. We packed 600,000 meal kits and sent them to Africa.
Wow.
One of the biggest things Rotary International is known for, though, is eradicating polio.
Mm-hmm.
Back in 1987, I believe it was, Rotary International took on the challenge to eradicate polio, to where today we're down to just a handful of cases.
That's amazing.
What's amazing is they actually negotiated with, the Taliban to stop fighting so that we can get vaccines into the mountains of Afghanistan to vaccinate children.
Wow. I didn't know that. That really is amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Wow. Where are those negotiators? We need them.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. Oh, my goodness.
So that's some of the neat things you've done on the international side, that some start at the Rotary International level, but some start at the local level, and we use the international resources to accomplish it.
And is Rotary a nonprofit organization? How is it classified?
Yeah, Rotary is nonprofit. It's literally about 1.4 million volunteer neighbors, friends, and professionals that work together to make things better in the community, the global community and the local community.
Having said that, a lot of the folks that are members of Rotary are business owners, correct?
Demographics are changing.
Okay.
So, the image of Rotary was a stodgy old men's club, to be frank, business professionals. We take all walks of life now. It doesn't matter you're male or female, what your religious affiliation is, what your political affiliation is. That doesn't matter. It doesn't matter whether you're a business executive or you're someone on a manufacturing floor. Mm-hmm. The only requirement is you want to help do better.
That's great.
And that's what it comes down.
That's great. That's a nice shift, I would think. I think that sounds like something we should be proud of. That we're making room for everybody to play a role, and everyone can. So that's wonderful. How about on the local level? You started talking about international projects, and they're quite impressive. And obviously, you're doing some heavy lifting with brother and sister organizations. But on the local level, you may be a little bit more flying a little bit more solo. What have you been doing in the town of Greece?
Yes, that's one of our biggest projects in the town of Greece. Is we support the Greece Little League Calendar Baseball program. So we have our annual golf tournament where we have about 100 golfers each year. We raise funds for the Greece Little League Challenger program, which helps physically and mentally challenged children and adults get the baseball experience in Greece.
That's great.
That's one of our bigger pet projects that we enjoy. Some other ones, one of our favorites is the BOCES Holiday Christmas Party. Unfortunately, because of COVID, it's been canceled the last 2 years. But I'll tell you, Sarah, there's nothing more rewarding. We take in about 100 developmentally challenged children in the Monroe County BOCES program for a lunch program where they get to have lunch, spend time with Santa. And about 20 buses come in from all over the county. The Rotarians are there to usher these students off, get them fed, get them before Santa, get them back on the buses, and get them back to school. And there's nothing more humbling for me than that day, because it's just incredible.
Yeah, it is. It's a great day. That's something I've experienced personally, and it's, it means a lot to the young people involved. It means a lot to the folks that are coming, and not just being fed, but eating at a really nice place and getting their picture taken, and there's hopefully a feeling of being treated extra well. So what has made you, I think we're sort of hearing a little bit about what's attracted you to Rotary. How long have you personally been a part of it? And you're a business owner in the region, correct?
Yes, and I've been a part of Rotary for 20 years.
Wow.
Which, I'm glad you brought that up, how long I've been a part of it, because we take people where they're at. Mm-hmm. 20 years ago, I was all in with Rotary, and I was on every committee I could be on, and I was a good Rotarian. Life circumstances changed. I couldn't be as involved as I once was. But but the club was always there to support me in a personal way. And as my life circumstances changed and I was able to free up and have more time, I'm back in Rotary again and taking on a leadership role. But I share that because we do take people where they're at. Mm-hmm. Not everyone can give 100% all the time. We recognize that, life has its different turns. You just go through the phases of life. Your children, each stage is a little different in what you can contribute. And I think that's important for people to know. It's just not, there used to be a requirement that you had to be present. I think it was for 75% of the lunchtime meetings. Mm-hmm. Rotary International got wise and said that's you need to change with the times, and that's no longer a requirement. Just again, meeting people where they're at.
I think that's a good move. And what do you think drew you to Rotary initially? Were you raised with with a family that instilled values about giving back? Was there a precipitating event?
At my youngest point, I was in politics out in Hilton, and my wife at the time wanted to move to Greece. And we moved to Greece. Our kids were a little older, and I needed to change my focus. Mm-hmm. But I still wanted to do something and be involved. And Rotary fit that bill. I was able to be involved and feel like I was doing something good while still being there for my kids going through their school years.
Mm-hmm. And did you know somebody who was in Rotary, who introduced you, who encouraged you to join? How did you make the connection?
A friend of mine hooked me up with Al Malutis.
Nice.
And Al was a new Rotarian at the time as well.
Wow.
But a well-connected guy in Greece, and he took me under his wing and helped me sponsor me as a member.
Very, very nice. And so sponsorship is required. I'm leading you not so subtly down the path of telling people if they're interested, how do they go about joining? They pick up the phone and call, but then what's the process?
Yeah, so our process is we like to invite people to our weekly meetings so they can see what Rotary's about, see what the membership is like, and experience that. It's usually a 3 or 4 meetings where you get to have a free lunch, by the way, at where our meetings are at Ridgemont Country Club.
Very nice.
Yeah, it is. It's a nice venue.
It is.
They get to experience that and see what Rotary's all about, and then we will walk through what the requirements are. There's fundraising requirements. I think those requirements are $300. We try to raise for either our annual ZD dinner or our golf tournament. And not $300 out of your pocket, it's $300 selling tickets or $300 asking your employer for a sponsorship. There's also dues. Our dues is, I believe, $245 a year. But the biggest thing is having the heart to be involved. Mm-hmm. I believe the money requirements are pretty small because, again, you can raise those funds. Mm-hmm. But it's helping and being involved and being a good Rotarian. If I can add, Sarah, we sometimes have this debate, are we a service club that does social things or are we a social club that does service things?
Yep.
And it doesn't matter. It's circular.
Yes.
And wherever you're at, get on that circle. And if you join for social reasons, the service stuff, you'll find it's just as rewarding and you'll want to do more.
Yep.
If you join for the service reasons, you'll find out the social stuff is fun and you want to be more involved. So it's a really great group.
I'm really glad you brought that up, Greg, because that's my observation, is that the folks in Rotary are really a family. I mean, they're people that have been part of the organization. There's a mixture, obviously, people that have been part of the organization for a long time, and you're a great example of that. And then newer people that are coming in all the time from all sorts of walks of life and backgrounds. And there's tremendous camaraderie between and among them. They're really drawn together because of their passion and desire to do good in the community. But you're right; they also find great strength in the connection that they have with each other. It's. I don't know if all Rotaries are like that. Maybe they are. They probably are. But I know from having seen it myself that the Greece Rotary is an especially good example of that nice blend between the social and the community.
Yeah, that's well put, Sarah. And in addition to that, the camaraderie amongst the clubs. Getting the more you're involved with Rotary, the more you get involved with other towns. I'm going to tell you who my favorite town is. I love Avon, which is kind of where WYSL is located. The Avon Club, actually, the Greece Club spawned off of the Avon Club. They were our sponsor club. Yeah, they were a sponsor club 60 years ago when we got our charter.
Oh, my goodness. Well, Bob D'Angelo, who's sitting across from me in the studio from, of course, WYSL, based right here in Avon, is just nodding his head up and down.
I was a third-generation member of Avon Rotary, and unfortunately, my time constraints, I had to step back. But great club, still have a lot of friends, help them out when possible.
Isn't that nice? You're certainly saying that to the right station and the right listening audience as well. How nice. I had no idea there was a connection.
I've even slept on the floor of the Avon Fire Department because of Rotary.
Oh, my goodness.
They were hosting an exchange student event, and I was helping the Avon Rotary host that, and, sleeping on the floor there. That was quite the evening.
Yeah, that's great. And that's yet another thing that Rotary does that we didn't even touch on, and that's that there are sort of a steady stream of exchange students that are coming through Rotary and the community because of Rotary, right?
Yeah, incredible ambassadors. So the Grease Club has sponsored about 10 students, and the last 2 I've actually had. One of my students was from Sweden and one was from France. I'll tell you, they're still my kids. We still communicate at Christmas, and we still send texts periodically through the as the days go on, and what an incredible experience.
That sounds great. Yeah, it's wonderful. So you're coming up on your new presidency starts when, Greg?
It starts July 1st.
Okay.
The Rotary year.
Wonderful. And I know you're going to do a wonderful job. Of course, the current president is also doing a great job. That's Brenda Herman, correct?
Yep, Brenda's given me a big shoes to follow.
Well, you're both terrific, and the whole club is, as we've said, made up of, the whole group is made up of all kinds of wonderful people. I don't know all of you, but I know many of you, and of course I used to be one of you. I like Bob, have had to step away, at least for now. It's good to know I could come back. You're sort of my role model for that, right, Greg? It's possible to step away and to come back and even run the club, which is great. So we're really looking forward to hearing about the great things that you end up doing, especially as we emerge from COVID, which undoubtedly we will. And I think it's going to give all of us sort of a renewed sense of purpose when we're able to do some things, more things and bigger things live and in person again.
You asked about how to get involved, and I told you the process, but I didn't tell you how to start that process.
Okay.
So you start that process by going to www.greaserotary.org. And on the left-hand side of the homepage, you'll see our names and our positions. You can just click on my name, and you'll get my email. You can send me a note.
GreaseRotary.org?
You got it.
GreaseRotary.org, because you're a nonprofit, you're an org, not a con, just like the chambers. So GreaseRotary.org, and you're going to want to look for Gregg Sadwick, President-elect, Grease Rotary. Greg, thank you so much for being with us here today on Business Voice.
I appreciate the time.
Oh, you're very welcome. All right, don't go away. We'll be right back. Much more to come. Don't flip that dial.
Do you ever question how much value you get for the money you spend? Funerals can be expensive, and you should feel confident getting what you paid for. Bartolomeo and Perotto Funeral Home promises to deliver. From expert guidance to a warm, inviting facility to handling all the details during a difficult time. Their priority is to create a meaningful tribute for your loved one and for you to feel that you spent wisely. When you're in need, call Bartolomeo and Perotto Funeral Home, 720-6000.
This is what we're made of. The businesses that line our streets and the customers that make them flourish. As a business owner, this is your community, your members, your regulars, your neighbors. Your business is unique, so are your customers. No matter who you need to reach, Spectrum Reach is here to help you connect with the right message on every screen. Visit SpectrumReach.com to connect with a local advertising expert. That's SpectrumReach.com.
Depositing your money with Genesee Regional Bank helps strengthen the local community. That's because GRB lends its deposits to local businesses and individuals so they can grow and prosper. From your favorite bakery to your family dentist to the technology company where your neighbor works to helping families buy a home. That keeps Rochester rock solid. Become a GRB client today. Genesee Regional Bank. Community banking, community building.
Visit grbbank.com. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS 417491.
Buying a car has never been easier at Ralph Honda. With our online shopper, find the car that's right for you, right from your home. Value your trade, personalize a payment that fits your budget, chat with a team member, and schedule your pickup. It's that simple. Celebrating Honda for 50 years. Ralph Honda.
WYSL.
Welcome back. You're listening to Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce, sponsored by Bartolomeo and Perotto Funeral Home. I'm Sarah Lentini, your host. I'm also the president and CEO of the Greece Regional Chamber, and I'm delighted to welcome my next guest, Ruth Sternberg from Confident Career Search. Welcome, Ruth.
Thank you. I'm so glad to be here.
We're delighted to have you on. Ruth, you're a relatively new member of the Greece Regional Chamber, and we're so delighted that you've joined. And also, you're a relatively new transplant to the Rochester region, correct? Tell us a little bit about yourself.
I am. I moved here in November of 2020 in the middle of the pandemic from Columbus, Ohio.
Nice.
My husband got a job here, and so we just packed everything up and came here. And this is the first time I had ever really been to Western New York, so it's new for me, and I'm really enjoying it. We went snowshoeing last year for the first time ever, and I'm looking forward to doing it again.
That's wonderful. Is there no snow in Columbus or not as much? I'm afraid I don't know.
It's hit and miss. Columbus is in the middle of Ohio. It's not near a lake. So, yes, it snows there, but then some years it doesn't snow very much. So but definitely it's cold. It's not, this isn't new for me.
Yeah, I think we had this conversation before. I don't know if I've ever mentioned on the show, but I spent part of my early years, my formative years in Madison, Wisconsin, which is a very cold place and a very snowy place. And it is on a lake, not a great lake, but it is on a lake. And so I have what I'm sure are exaggerated memories from my childhood with snow that just went, up for miles and miles that I, just sort of dwarfed me as a child. So I've said to many people that Rochester reminds me of Madison, not only because of the weather, but also because I think that Rochester is almost like a Midwestern feel culturally. I don't know if you find that to be true at all.
I do. I absolutely do. Yeah. And my husband's from northern Michigan, way up in the Kalkaska County. And so people, before we moved, friends would say, "Oh, no, there's all this snow in Rochester." And Sam would say, "A snow? That's just Tuesday."
Everything is relative. And, of course, exactly. If you like snowshoeing or skiing or cross-country skiing or any of those great activities, this is a great place to be. And obviously sailing is, boating.
That's true, too.
Yeah. Oh, wonderful. So how nice that you've joined Rochester and joined the Chamber. And you own a Confident Career Search, correct? Tell us about the business you own.
Well, it's a sole proprietorship, so it's just me. And my mission is to help people find job satisfaction.
Nice.
Right. There's so many people right now who are feeling a sense of unease. Of course, the pandemic has created a lot of uncertainty. Mm-hmm. But a lot of people, because they've been working remotely or been laid off maybe once or twice, are now looking at their jobs and questioning what they want to be doing. They want better work-life balance, and they want to maybe finally meet long-held career goals that they haven't been able to achieve. So clients come to me for help defining what they offer so they can move forward. Really, many of them need help thinking through their strategy. Should they pursue something? Is it right for them? So on a technical level, I write resumes. I craft LinkedIn profiles. I write cover letters. I devise other personal marketing materials that can help candidates explain what they deliver and why it matters. Mm-hmm. But I also help people. What I really help them do is really define what they're about professionally, and it really does build confidence.
And I imagine if others are anything like me, that you may be pushing them to do something that they've maybe never done. It's a ridiculous thing to be saying to you, Ruth, but for all the years I've been on this planet, I don't know that I've ever been all that intentional about thinking about what I want to do and why. It's all sort of happened to me. And, of course, I'm responsible for all of it. But I don't know if I've ever taken the amount of time and energy that maybe I should have to really evaluate what I want to be doing with my time. Does that sound about right for the folks that come to you as well?
Oh, yes. I mean, I do get a fair number of clients who know exactly what they're going after, and that's what they want. But then I have others that are maybe nearing retirement. They want to keep working. Some people have gotten laid off, and they thought, it's time for me to switch now. Mm-hmm. And then I have new graduates who are coming into the market now, and they really need help trying to figure out how to explain how to talk to an employer in the employer's language, because that's really what it's about. And you're right. You can't letting your career manage you is a mistake. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Unfortunately, we don't really get taught how to manage our careers. It's not like there's a class we take, right?
I wish there were. Ruth, will you teach it? We should have that class. You're making an excellent point. Why don't we have that class? And it shouldn't just be one class. Can you think of anything? I mean, there are some things that might be more important, but it's certainly way up there on the list how you're going to spend, a huge chunk of your time through your life. Should merit some special consideration and evaluation so that you don't, you're right, let your career manage you. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's what happens a lot, Sarah. It's like, but here's the thing about looking for a job is that it's pretty stressful. Mm-hmm. And the time, most people are doing it at a time when they're forced to do it. Right. Unfortunately, that's most people. And it's better to start thinking about professional development, learning more skills, getting involved in your profession through professional organizations, building your network while you're employed and while you really understand and are comfortable with what's going on, right? So you can get mentorship within your company. But by the time you're ready to look for a job, there's all the stress, right? Right. You have to do research. You have to plan your search. You have to be very deliberate about your networking. You need materials like resumes because you're going to get asked for that stuff. Right. And you also have to know how to talk about yourself. Yep. It's a lot.
It is.
And so, I like to relieve that stress. That's what I do.
And it's interesting that you said resumes because, I think that implies that you might need more than one, correct?
Well, here's the thing about the resume. A lot of people still believe that it's a one-and-done situation. I have my resume, now I'm ready to apply for all these jobs. Well, the truth is that your document really has to be aimed at something.
Yep.
Companies, and all of you listening who are business owners, you understand this. You hire because you need someone to help you with something. You need to solve a problem. You need to fix your sales process. There's something going on in your company, and you need help. Well, it's the job of the candidate to explain that they know how to do that, and not only do they know how, but they've done it, and here's the proof. Mm-hmm. And that's really the story that you have to tell, and it has to be tweaked for every single employer.
Yep. I think that's I'm glad to hear you say that because I've always felt that, and then sometimes I've wondered if I've put too much energy into all the tweaking, but ultimately every job has particular skills and a particular role that needs to be your experience needs to show that it matches, and a static document probably won't do that for you. So it's a lot of work. I'm sure people are very happy to have your help with making that synergy happen. So how does it work? How do people get in touch with you, and what should they expect in terms of moving forward?
Well, you can find me in a lot of different places. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on there a lot.
Okay.
So you can look up Ruth Sternberg, Career Confidence Coach, and you'll find me.
Okay.
And my website is confidentcareersearch.com.
Confidentcareersearch.com. Okay.
Uh-huh. And then, of course, you can always email me at ruth@confidentcareersearch.com.
Okay, great.
And so, those are really three ways to find me. And there's plenty of instruction there on how to reach me in every single one of those places.
Right. And I'm going to add a fourth, which is, since you're a member of the Chamber, you can also always go to the Greece Chamber's website, greecechamber.org, and you can find Ruth on the business directory, or you could just reach out to the Chamber, and we're happy to connect you to her as well. Ruth Sternberg, Sternberg, just because it's a couple ways to spell that right. Ruth Sternberg, Confident Career Search, which is a great business that's I think here in Rochester right at a moment when we really need it. And of course, you're a career confidence coach, and as you mentioned, you do much more than just help people with the documents and the paperwork and the tweaking and the resumes and the letters, but also with some of the soul searching that perhaps they haven't done, perhaps they need to revisit, which I know so many people are doing right now. If there's anything positive to be said about the last 18 months, I suppose it's that I think a lot of folks have reevaluated their priorities, I think, in a way that's hopefully for the better.
There's a lot of change going on. I also want to add, if I may, that I work with business owners too, because it's really difficult sometimes to be able to explain, say, on your website or on your LinkedIn profile, what you're delivering to the customer, because customers buy because they're trying to solve a problem, right? Meet a need. And sometimes it's really hard to put that into words. And so I help small business owners and solopreneurs do that. I have a process that I bring them through of interviewing them to help them determine that language. And I also help do your LinkedIn profile, which can be really valuable. LinkedIn has grown hugely, and it's a great place to do business.
Yep. And frankly, if you've got a LinkedIn page, you should be thinking about the fact that if you are applying for jobs, the employer has probably looked at your LinkedIn page, right, Ruth?
Yeah, you really need it. And I'll tell you, it's not just a matter of having it because you should, because that's where recruiters are living. It's also because if you're not on these social media, if you're not digital, you look dated.
Yep.
You need to upgrade a little bit and show that you're technology savvy.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, I think all employers are looking for employees that understand all the new technologies, regardless of the role. You're absolutely right. Thank you so much. Ruth Sternberg from Confident Career Search, thank you so much for being with us here today on Business Voice.
Well, thank you so much for the opportunity.
You're very welcome. That just about does it for us here today on Business Voice, a program of the Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce sponsored by Bartolomeo and Perotto Funeral Home. I've been your host, Sarah Lentini. I'm the president and CEO of the Chamber of Commerce as well. And I want to thank all of our wonderful guests today. We had Laura Smith from GRB, Genesee Regional Bank, Gregg Sadwick from the Greece Rotary, and, of course, Ruth Sternberg from Confident Career Search. Great folks doing great things. If you want to check out what else is going on with the Chamber, please go to greecechamber.org. That's greecechamber.org. And until next time, be well.
You've been listening to Business Voice. The Greece Regional Chamber of Commerce serves businesses, nonprofits, and individuals throughout the region, focusing on promoting economic and community development and serving as the voice for business. The Chamber offers networking, education, advocacy, community events, and business services. It serves as an important platform for business leaders and citizens to come together in support of common goals.